The Tesla Cybertruck is perhaps the most controversial new vehicle on the market. Much like they do about Tesla CEO Elon Musk, people have opinions about this truck. It's hard not to, because it doesn't look like anything else on the road. Fans will say the Cybertruck is the future. It looks like a Mars rover. It's out of the box, not adhering to traditional automotive design, and not afraid to be the blueprint for everyone else. Detractors will say it looks like a rolling refrigerator. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, and today, we're gonna try to find it. This is the 2024 Tesla Cybertruck Foundation Series, and I'm Alanis King. Let's go for a drive and stick around for the end of this video to get this Cybertruck's full report card. This Cybertruck is stainless steel, just like my espresso machine at home. And you know what I drink out of that? Exclusively Apex coffee. Apex is fantastic. My husband and I drink it all the time while we're editing these videos. And if you want 15% off your order, you can use code ALANIS at checkout. The idea for a Tesla pickup has been around for more than a decade now. In 2013, Elon Musk said he wanted Tesla to offer a full-size pickup to compete with the Ford F-150. He said, and I quote, "If you're trying to replace the most gasoline miles driven, you have to look at what people are buying. That's the best-selling car in America. If people are voting that's their car, then that's the car we have to deliver." End quote. For more than 40 years, Ford has advertised its F-Series trucks as America's best-selling vehicles. It's technically true, but it's also a bit of marketing. The Ford F-Series has long included all of the Ford F-Trucks, not just the F-150, meaning, yeah, it's the best-selling vehicle, but it's also multiple vehicles. Anyway, back to the Cybertruck. Musk said in 2013 that it would probably be 5 years before Tesla offered a pickup. And come November 2019, the Cybertruck debuted. There was one big distraction during this debut. When Elon Musk led a demonstration of the truck's armored glass windows, which involved throwing a metal ball at the driver's window, it immediately smashed. There was a little bit of strategic talk on stage about trying to throw the ball at the rear window as a second demo. So they did. It also smashed. There was a lot of awkward laughing and small talk jokes to distract from it, but it became the big headline of the night. Elon Musk has said the Tesla Cybertruck will eventually get bulletproof windows, but they'll be so thick that you won't be able to roll them up and down. For now, though, we just get a fun little Easter egg inside the car. You see the Cybertruck on the screen right here? Let me tap this 3 times.
Oh my God. Oh man, it didn't go through.
That's the exact pattern that the windows broke in on the debut, and you get a little audio clip from the stage. The Cybertruck can currently be reserved in 3 main flavors. The base single-motor rear-wheel drive model is listed as starting at $61,000. The automaker estimated date of availability is 2025. Range is 250 miles, and the 0 to 60 mile/hour time is 6.5 seconds. The next step up is a dual-motor all-wheel drive model, which starts at $80,000. It has an automaker estimated 340 miles of range, 600 horsepower, 4.1 second 0 to 60 time, and an 11,000-pound towing capacity. A YouTuber named Jerry Rig Everything made a video about towing 11,000 pounds in cold weather, and because it takes more power to pull things, the trip cut the truck's range to about 100 miles. Lastly, we have the Cyberbeast, which starts at $100,000. Tesla estimates that it'll have 320 miles of range, 845 horsepower, a 2.6 second 0 to 60 time, and a towing capacity of 11,000 pounds. The payload, which is how much a truck can carry instead of pull, is 2,500 pounds. All of these are listed as estimates, and it's important to note that they can change. This Cybertruck is a dual-motor, all-wheel drive model, which means it has about 600 horsepower. It starts at $80,000, and it also has a $20,000 Foundation Series package on it. The Foundation Series is what it sounds like. It comes with a few extra features, some aesthetic stuff on it, and also it's one of the earliest Cybertrucks to be delivered. This truck also has Tesla's base autopilot and full self-driving capacity on it. It would take a whole separate video to talk about Tesla's full self-driving capacity terminology. But what you need to know is that passenger cars on the road that people can drive cannot drive themselves. So if you have one of these vehicles, pay attention, please. I met the owner of this truck on the job, and he was really kind to tell me I could come drive it. And I was talking to him before we started this video, and he told me the reason he bought the Cybertruck was because his young kids were interested in it. And then he got it, and he took them to school. And all the kids at their middle school just turned around and started videoing it. And his kids were actually overwhelmed by the attention because they didn't expect it to be as abundant as it is. But it is abundant. Everybody looks at this truck. The Cybertruck has two interesting maneuverability features: four-wheel steer and steer-by-wire. Four-wheel steer means all four wheels steer, which helps bigger vehicles shrink their turning radius. It's kind of like having swivel wheels on your suitcase, it just moves better. Steer-by-wire is a bit more complicated. In most cars, when you turn a steering wheel, that input is transferred to your actual wheels via shaft. These two components are mechanically connected. With steer-by-wire, the driver gives the steering wheel an input, which goes to a wire, which communicates via motor to move the wheels. The steer-by-wire system allows this Cybertruck steering ratio to be really variable, meaning you don't have to just crank this yoke a million times to get the truck to turn. And there is no actual mechanical connection between this wheel and the wheel, so you do not have a backup shaft if the steer-by-wire system fails. But Tesla says there are a bunch of redundancies built into the steer-by-wire system to where if something fails, something else can take its place and you'll be fine. If for whatever reason it fails entirely, there will be an alert on the screen, the truck will chime, and also it will gradually reduce torque so that you don't have anything bad happen, hopefully. This Cybertruck has adaptive air suspension, and Tesla says it has 12 inches of travel and 17.4 inches of ground clearance. So I figured we'd lift it all the way up and use a tape measure on it. The truck is all the way up, which means it's time for me to squat. Actually, no, we're gonna crisscross applesauce because that's the age I'm at. So 17.4 is about right here. I'm seeing like 13. The Cybertruck's body is made of stainless steel, which you might recognize from the DeLorean DMC-12. Tesla's promo videos for the truck show it being hit with all kinds of objects, hammers included, and being totally fine. Elon Musk has said how safe he believes the truck to be for occupants and pedestrians. But not everyone agrees. And since there aren't many Cybertrucks on the road, we haven't seen many real-life examples yet. Musk has said, I quote, "In a Cybertruck, if you have an argument with another car, you will win." End quote. The Cybertruck hasn't been crash tested by America's big nonprofit rating firm, the IIHS, but some people have concerns about it. Reuters asked 6 automotive safety experts about Cybertruck safety, and they had a few main concerns. One is that if the stainless steel really is that thick, it can cause some serious bodily damage. Skin and muscles are squishy. The Cybertruck is not, meaning if you get into a fistfight with the Cybertruck wins. Another is that the Cybertruck is heavy and fast. This is a thing with electric cars in general. They're just heavier than gas engine vehicles. They're also really fast because they have a thing called instant torque, meaning from standstill, they go lightning fast, absolutely no buildup. This Cybertruck weighs 6,700 pounds, but do you know what weighs even more? The GMC Hummer EV, which is 9,000 pounds. Another concern was the Cybertruck's lack of apparent crumple zones. The Cybertruck is meant to be rough and tough and rigid and heavy, but that can actually be an issue because vehicles are supposed to crumple in an impact. Crumpling absorbs some of the impact, so the occupants don't have to. This has been an issue in NASCAR in recent years. NASCAR's new car had issues with crumpling, so when it would hit the wall, the impact would just be absorbed by the drivers, and they would get more hurt than they were used to getting. Now, the safety experts who spoke to Reuters did say the lack of crumpling could be offset by some shock absorbent mechanisms. Another safety headline around the Cybertruck has been whether Europe will ever be allowed to have it. Europe has strict pedestrian safety laws that outlaw some cars, and with the Cybertruck, one issue in Europe is that its angles aren't rounded enough. Who would have thought? Another modern car that wasn't allowed in Europe was the C7 Corvette ZR1, which has a giant hole in the hood where the supercharger sticks out. In Europe, cars are supposed to have a cushion, the hood basically, over the engine parts in case they hit a pedestrian, and the ZR1 didn't. So the Cybertruck isn't the only big-name car that got blocked from Europe due to pedestrian safety standards. As time goes on, safety standards will only get stricter. The world will probably someday outlaw new vehicles like this one. Regardless of the Cybertruck's quality or how anyone feels about it, this vehicle will be remembered, and it will be remarkable, because ultimately, it's the only one of its kind. Another thing you might have noticed about the Cybertruck is that there is zero Tesla branding anywhere on this vehicle. The Cybertruck has its own logos, its own fonts, its own everything, because the Cybertruck really is its own thing. When we first started hearing about a potential Tesla pickup truck, people were speculating about it. They were rendering what it might look like. And they rendered vehicles that look like Tesla, smooth, sleek, just rounded designs. And then the Cybertruck came out, and it was unlike anything Tesla had on the road. The steering wheel has a little triangular Cybertruck silhouette on it, and the door wells have the Cybertruck font, which is the name of the truck written at like 45-degree angles, but it looks like it was welded on there. The Cybertruck font is so jarring because you get in this vehicle and it's so minimalist and simple, and then you see the font and it just screams at you. Or if you look at the window sticker for one of these trucks, everything else is written in a normal font, and then you see Cybertruck and it's just so out there. Another little Easter egg in the Cybertruck is that if you look up, there's a dome light, and you press it to turn it on, and it looks like the front of the truck and headlights. Isn't that cute? Tesla, no matter how you feel about them, does a really good job putting fun features in vehicles. Even opening up this Cybertruck, I can look at the screen and I can do emissions testing, which makes the car fart. You can color on the screen. You can make the car dance in some of the Tesla models. They just have interesting, fun little features that make it more fun to be in this car. If you like standing out like this Cybertruck, check out Home Field Apparel. I am wearing them all the time, and they have a brand new Indy 500 collection out. If you want 15% off your first order, you can use code Atlantis24 at checkout. Let's rapid fire through a few more Cybertruck features. The owner of this truck told me the stainless steel gets so dirty, and he had a detailer come over to clean it, and the detailer couldn't figure out how to get the fingerprints off of the truck. So the detailer's sitting there on YouTube for like 3 hours trying to figure this out, and then the owner and his wife were like, you know what, let's try some stainless steel refrigerator cleaner. And that's what worked. There are no door handles. You press a button and the door pops open. And do not press that stainless steel, because your detailer will be mad. There's only one windshield wiper, so when it's raining, you're gonna go like this. I'm not gonna get in the front because I'm not that small, but there's a cool Cybertruck logo that really shows you that this logo looks like it's welded. It's cool. The Cybertruck isn't the first Tesla with this feature, but it also has bioweapon defense mode, which Tesla says you can literally survive a military-grade bioweapon attack by sitting in your car. That's great and all, but have we seen zombie apocalypse shows? I'm just not sure I want to ride it out. Like, they don't have iPhone games or anything in that time. I think I'm good. We have now made it to my favorite part of any car review. How many Atlantises can fit in this Tesla Cybertruck's truck bed? This is the awkward part where I do a little hop to get up here. This truck bed is 6 feet long, according to Tesla, and I am not quite 6 feet long, so let me just lay down right here. Seems about right, yeah. And I could roll over a couple times. You could probably stack me 3 high. Probably 9 Atlantises back here, if I were to guess. In addition to your 9 Atlantises of storage, the Cybertruck has a little secret cargo hatch in there, so you can put extra stuff down there. Probably not an Atlantis, but some other stuff. We also have a power tonneau cover, so if you really wanted to lock me in here, you could. Welcome inside the Tesla Cybertruck, where inside, this feels like a completely different vehicle. The owners of this truck are husband and wife, and I was talking to the wife about being in the car, and she said from the outside, way too much attention. It's just ridiculous. It looks like you're driving on Mars. But you get inside, and it feels like a Top Gear skit. It feels like the Stig. From the outside, he's ripping the car, and it's all chaotic. And then you get inside, and you have the nice music playing, and it's so calm. She said that's what it feels like in here, and that is exactly right. I have no additions to that. From a basic design standpoint, the inside of this truck is so open. In a lot of gas-powered vehicles, you have a giant center column that prevents you from crossing your leg between the passenger and driver. In an electric vehicle, you don't have that transmission column because you don't need it. It's also just so airy in front of me. The front windshield on the Cybertruck is massive. Photos don't do it justice. Videos don't do it justice. Nothing does it justice. My dashboard is so long that you could literally lay a person on it under the windshield. It's ridiculous. There's so much space. There's nothing going on this dashboard except our center touch screen. It's just so open and airy in here. You also don't have a giant steering wheel taking up a ton of space in front of you. This tiny, tiny, tiny steering wheel gives you a lot of space to move around. A few other things you notice in here, the AC vents are completely hidden in the dashboard. They are just tucked away. You do not see them. This glass roof is huge. Oh my goodness. And then the windshield comes all the way up, overlapping with the visors. These are the most interesting sun visors I have ever seen in a vehicle. They're trapezoid shape, and then you pull them down to reach the mirror, and then you pull another cover off, and you finally get the mirror right there. And then when you put them back up, they go back up against the glass. You just don't really see this. This is such a different design. Another thing you don't really see is a rear view mirror that is so small. I don't even know how to describe the smallness of this rearview mirror because it is so tiny, but actually you can completely see behind you with this rearview mirror.
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
Maybe when I start driving I will. I don't know. We'll see. I won't talk too much about this because this has been a very comprehensive Cybertruck review, but like any Tesla, you have this center touchscreen with a lot of fun stuff in it. And my favorite thing is the sandbox. You pull up the sandbox and you have toys, you have light show, you have the colorizer, you have emissions, so you can make the car fart on demand. You can do all kinds of stuff in here. You can do romance mode where you have a fire. You can draw on the sketch pad. You can do whatever you want in here. Does it work? I don't know. You can also put the car on Mars. You can start a fire. It's just typical Tesla stuff. It's fun. We have now moved to the back seat of the Cybertruck, which, like the front seat, is very, very simple. But you have your own touchscreen where you can power your fans and do your own thing back here. You also have this glass roof that just makes the car feel so airy. And I mean, it already feels airy. There's a ton of room in the back seat. It's absolutely ridiculous. I also feel like there's a slight amount of stadium seating in the Cybertruck to where I can see a little bit forward. I think stadium seating is so good for vehicles with multiple rows because it makes the backseat passengers feel part of what's going on. If your seats are the same height as the front seats, you kind of just feel like you're swallowed up by the front seats. You can't really see. They feel like the wall in front of you. But if you're just slightly higher than the front seat passengers, you can kind of look down and feel like you're not completely separated from them, which is really nice. Aside from that, we got the cup holders in the middle that fold up to make a seat, and my headroom is okay, but not great. I'm 5'8.5", and I have a few inches of headroom above me before I would hit the glass. It's time to drive the Tesla Cybertruck. And let me start this driving portion off by saying this truck has 85 miles on it. And I don't feel it's my place as the borrower to put it over 100. So this driving portion won't be a ton of miles, right? But I'm gonna try to give you as much information as possible within this driving portion. And the most obvious thing in the Tesla Cybertruck is that everyone's looking at you. While we were filming it, it was once every 7 minutes that someone stopped and asked what it was. It's just ridiculous how much attention it gets. And it does get a lot of attention. But the point I made earlier still is so true. You're inside this truck and you don't feel like you're inside what it looks like on the outside. It feels so normal on the inside of this truck. It doesn't feel like a weird post-apocalyptic tank in here. It's just serene and quiet and nice. Now, when you start looking around and spatial awareness becomes a thing, then you're kind of like, oh, I'm in an oddly shaped vehicle. Because you try to park and you try to change lanes and you try to do all kinds of stuff, and you really have to look a few times to make sure, because the vehicle is huge. It's a different shape than really any other vehicle ever. And it just takes a lot of getting used to when you're in here, right? Another thing that takes getting used to is to put it in drive and to put it in reverse. You just slide a little silhouette of a Cybertruck up and down on the screen. And it has a little sound that goes with it, so you know that you've changed it out of a certain drive mode, right? But it's just, the controls are so different, the shape of the vehicle is so different, everyone's staring at you. You feel more pressure when everyone's staring at you. I had this when I drove the GMC Hummer EV. It's just, everyone's looking, so you're like, oh, I can't make a mistake while driving because everyone will see me. And then when you have to do like a 10-point turn, you're like, oh, me and my Cybertruck doing a 10-point turn. And you just know everyone is looking at you like, why didn't you get a Corolla? And I think that's an interesting thing about vehicles like this. Vehicles that are flashy, whether it be supercars, Cybertrucks, whatever it is, they get so much attention. And often when you talk to really, really wealthy people, a lot of them would just rather drive a Porsche 911 because most of the time, people aren't going to stare at them for it, right? Porsche 911s are one of the best vehicles on the road. But do they blend in? Yeah, because a lot of people buy 911s. So, is there a trade-off for having a very flashy vehicle? Yes. The trade-off is, it's cool that I have a flashy vehicle, but also everybody's staring at me and I don't get a break from that. You know. The steer-by-wire and four-wheel steer really, really do make a difference in this vehicle because you do not have to turn this wheel very much at all to get a ton of turning action. It really makes it to where you can work with a wheel that is not circular, right? It's not difficult to work with this wheel. The car does exactly what you need it to do. You don't have to turn it over 12 times to do anything. It makes this shape of wheel very, very livable, and I like that a lot. Now, when I go over bumps or I go over potholes, the vehicle does move around a little bit, and I think that's just a product of having a vehicle that's so big. I mean, you've got so much going on. The wheels are just at different levels. The vehicle just kind of like bounces all around. But it's not jostling. It doesn't jostle you like a 911 GT3 would, right? It's just, you're moving, you're going like this, but it's smooth enough. It works. Let's talk about steering and pedal feel. This steering is heavy. It's not obnoxiously heavy, it won't annoy you, but it has weight to it, and that's nice. I love when steering has weight to it. But on the other end of that, the accelerator pedal has a lot of weight to it, which I'm not in love with, because I don't think an accelerator pedal should be light as air, especially in a vehicle that is this big and this fast. But this accelerator pedal just feels like it has too much tension on it. When you're accelerating, you're like, oh, this is heavy. This takes work to get up to speed. That combined with regenerative braking, which I love in any other case, right? It just feels kind of like you're working to get the car to move forward, because when you're pressing the pedal, it's heavy, and then as soon as you lift off, the regen just slows you down. So it makes the vehicle feel like you're pushing it along. I do wish this pedal was less heavy than it is. I think it could be less heavy but still have weight to it, and it would be perfect. As it is right now, it's just too heavy, honestly. I do believe it's time to accelerate. So, let's do it. The ease with which it accelerates. It's fast, but it's so easy. There's no struggle to accelerate in this vehicle. It just feels nice and smooth and fast. And you're out here, and yeah, I have a little bit of wind noise on the outside of the car. I have not that much road noise at all. Overall, it's very comfortable. The interior is very peaceful. If you were to drive this car, you would forget that the outside of the car looks how it looks, because you get inside and it looks so normal and honestly luxurious in here. It feels nice in here in a way that the outside feels chaotic. This does not. Now that we've driven the Tesla Cybertruck, it's time to give it a grade. Welcome to Alanis's report card. The exterior, we're gonna give it a C, because no matter where you are, everybody's gonna see you in it. Also, I don't think this is a negative connotation. People either love the Cybertruck or they hate it, so a C is a pretty good middle ground. The interior gets a B+. It is really serene in there. It feels like a different car than it looks like on the outside. Performance, I'm gonna give it a C, and I'm gonna read off all of my notes for you so that you know that I'm serious. I don't think the Cybertruck experience is bad. It's fine to drive, but there are a few issues that were just really, really pressing when I was in it. It's so big that it's hard to maneuver in a parking lot, and also you don't have an aerial 360 camera come up to help you get in parking spots or go through different places. I drive cars for a living, and I was nervous taking turns in a parking lot in this truck. Also, the combination of a thin rearview mirror and not a lot of sightlines out the back makes you look like you're squinting to see what's behind you. It's just this thin little piece of road when you look out behind you, so you can't see too much. Also, the windshield is so big that anything you have in the front of the car, whether it's in the center console or on the windshield like the GoPro was, is gonna overheat. My phone was on fire, and so was the GoPro. It's rough. And then everyone's staring at you. It's just You can't be inconspicuous in it, and the accelerator pedal is so heavy. So, is it a bad driving experience? No. Are there a lot of things that could be better? Absolutely, there are. Value, I'm giving it a B+. And the only reason I'm giving it a B instead of an A is because we have not seen how resale goes with this truck yet. Maybe it starts reselling and the figures are sky high. I'm not sure. But I think over time, this truck will be really important for car collectors to have in their collections. So I think it'll hold its value in that sense. Would I take the Cybertruck on a road trip? No, everything is gonna overheat. And also you're probably gonna get a sunburn. And overall, I'm gonna give the Cybertruck a B-. There are a lot of things that could be better about it, but it's captivating. Cybertruck fans will say it's a big, fast, flashy utility vehicle. Yet it's still somehow sharp and raw and luxurious and minimalist. They'll say it's for people with taste and style. Cybertruck detractors will say it's unnecessarily big, unnecessarily fast, and unnecessarily flashy. They'll say its sharpness and rawness is exactly what makes it so weird and potentially so dangerous. No matter how much information gets presented by each side, the other likely won't budge. But after spending a day with the Cybertruck, I do think the truth lies somewhere in the middle. This truck has an audience, and it has all of our attention. Ultimately, that's any product's goal.